Alright, this is section 2.4, and in questions 1 through 12 they ask you to match each function with one of the graphs labeled A through I, shown following these instructions. Recognizing special features of certain types of functions and plotting points for the function will be helpful. So the first one is the square root of x, and we all know what that looks like. Number 8, absolute value of x minus 2. Well, absolute value is the only one that has that sharp edge to it. Number 10, piecewise function, which means f of x equals 2 or y equals 2. Y equals 2 is a horizontal line at 2. I believe this is the only one that has a horizontal line at 2. And then it also has x cubed for 0 or larger. So x cubed normally comes up here and over. Normally comes up this way and over. And y equals 2 normally goes the entire way across. So whenever you have to look at a piecewise function, I say draw and erase, draw and erase. Okay, so you start with y equals 2, which goes here all the way across. But you only want less than 0. So you don't include 0 and you don't include everything to the right. You'd erase all that. Okay, and then x cubed comes up like this and changes direction. But we only want it for 0 or larger, so we're going to erase the other part down here. 11, same idea. Y equals negative x. Y equals negative x is y equals x flipped on the x-axis. So it goes through the origin, goes this way. But you want to erase anything where x is minus 1 or larger. So you only get this portion here. Okay, and then y equals 1, that's a horizontal line at 1. But they only want it between minus 1 and positive 1. And then y equals x, typical line shooting up to the right, but you only want it for larger than 1. So with each one of these, you're going to draw the entire graph, but erase portions of it. You're going to draw the entire graph at y equals 1, erase to the left and erase to the right. You only get this middle part. Y equals x goes through the origin like this, but you erase this part because you only want greater than 1. 13 says decide whether each function is cubic or quartic. Well, 3a looks like this, and that's cubic. 13b looks like this, and that's quartic. You know by the number of changes in direction. Just add 1 and you'll know the degree. 2 changes in direction, that means degree 3, cubic. 3 changes in direction, that means degree 4, quartic. Okay, number 19. Match the equation with the graph. 19 is a little tricky, but you can look at it. If you put 0 in for x, you get 0 for y, so it crosses the origin. And also, if you factor out an x, you get x and x plus 7, which means it crosses at minus 7. Okay. A is 1 positive, so it's going to shoot upward. Okay, and so which one looks like that? It's D. D is the only one that looks like that. 21, x minus 3 over x plus 1. The x plus 1 gives you, setting x plus 1 equal to 0, gives you x equals negative 1. And that's one value your function does not take. Okay? And then if you plot some points, you'll see that this guy comes up this way, this guy comes up that way, and you got asymptotes in both directions. And that is question it's question G. Alright, at 29, they give you a function, this guy here, and they ask you to find f of each of these other guys. Okay, so f of negative 1/3 means negative 1/3 squared minus 1 over negative 1/3. Over negative 1/3. And so you get 1/9 minus 1 over negative 1/3. 1/9 minus 9/9 over 1/3, which is minus 8/9, and 1/3 negative. That makes this guy positive, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah. And so B says plug in a 10, so you put a 10 in there for each of these x's, and you simplify and you get 99 over 10. This one, you plug in 0.001, square it, minus 1 over itself, and you get this guy, and you got to be careful with all of this. Eventually I multiplied by 10 million to get rid of all these digits, and you end up with this guy, or more simply that. Now they ask you what's f of 0. Well, you plug 0 in here, and here you're going to be dividing by 0, and you can't do that. 33, they plug in minus 5 into the function, and that's where x is less than 0, so you're going to use this top one. So k of minus 5 is just 2. K of 0, well, that's where this is, because this is where x equals 0. And so you plug it into x plus 4. Well, 0 plus 4 is 4. What about k of 1? Well, this is where x equals 1, so you're going to use this bottom one. So 1 minus 1 is 0. And then negative 0.001, that's a negative number, so you're going to use this guy, the top one. So your answer is 2. Okay, number 34 is another piecewise function. Again, to know which equation you're going to use is dependent on what x you're starting with. So x is minus 4. Minus 4 is a number that's smaller than 0, so you're going to use this guy with the negative 4. When you simplify it, you just get 2. G of 1 is between 0 and 4, and so you got 4 minus 1 is 3. G of 7 is when x is larger than 4, and so it's 0. And 3.9, that's less than 4, it's right here, so you're going to use 4 minus 3.9. And there you go. 35, they give you this equation, you want you to graph it on your calculator. Classify it as a polynomial, rational function, or piecewise. Identify any asymptotes. Use the graph to locate turning points. Okay, so you take this guy, and I actually factored it, set each one equal to 0, and I got 0 plus or minus 4 for my x-intercepts. So you can pull out an x squared out of both of these, and you're left with 1.6 minus 0.1 x to the second. So set x squared equals 0, and you get x equals 0. Set 1.6 minus 0.1 x squared equal to 0. Subtract 1.6, divide by negative 0.1. You get x squared equals 16, which when you take the square root gives you x equals positive or negative 4. So here's your 4, 0, 0, 0, and negative 4, 0. Okay, now does it have any asymptotes? No. An asymptote is a place where the line approaches a vertical or horizontal line like a magnet. None of these do. And then D asks for locate turning points. So we're talking about these guys here or that guy there. Well, you can use second calc 3 or 4 depending on if it's a maximum or minimum. These are both maximums, and these are the two numbers that I got on my calculator. I already knew 0, 0. So what about 37? 37 says same thing. So you get this guy. That's what the graph looks like, and it actually has an asymptote at -1, and it has an asymptote at 2. That's an asymptote at y equals 2, and y equals, or x equals -1. It's a rational function, and there you go with your horizontal and vertical asymptotes, and any key turning points. It has none. Number 40, they want you to graph each of these lines. This is y equals 2x minus 1, and this is y equals -x. So y equals 2x minus 1 looks like this. It crosses it at -1, and it has a slope of 2, which means rise 1, 2, and over 1. Rise 2 over 1. Connect the dots and you got it, but you want to erase this portion up here. And this one, y equals -x, crosses through this way. Okay, and minus x, this one should be, that's 1, so at 1 you have -1, and up here you have a hollow circle, and it shoots up to the right like that. Okay, so has a hollow circle at 1, 1, has a solid circle at 1, -1. It's a piecewise function. It does not have any turning points. Number 51, it says first class stamps are 49 cents for the first ounce, and then for each additional ounce it's 0.21 more. So add 0.21, 0.21, 0.21. For each 1 ounce to another ounce to another ounce. Okay, so it's a piecewise function. They ask you to find p of 1.2. 1.2 is between 1 and 2, so it's 0.7. Costs 70 cents to mail an item between 1 to 2 ounces, greater than 1 ounce and up to and equal to 2 ounces. C, what's the domain? Well, the domain is from 0 to 4. And your range is just these individual numbers, these prices. And then D says, what's P of 2? P of 2 is actually this one right here, which is 70 cents. Oops. Oh, P of 2 is 70 cents, right? And then P of 2.01, which is slightly bigger than 2. Now you got the next line down, which is 0.01. And then 52 has a income tax, and this one's going to be complicated, so let's